I come from a background in graphic design, and after studying, I was always working on unusual graphic projects, including film and exhibition design and architecture. And I decided to move on to do a master's in narrative environments. And I found this program in London at the Central St. Martin's that had this new program with people from around the world, all interested in spaces that tell stories. And from there, came back to Montreal and was not doing what I was doing before anymore, and ended up meeting Mouna, who is now my associate. And we founded a studio it took us a while for it to name it Daily Tous les Jours, project by project, defined a practice. Ended up working a lot in public space, bringing people together using technology, performance, and storytelling to bring people together. We live in Montreal, it's a francophone city, but that is often, working internationally, you're always talking French and English all the time. So this bilingual title we thought was going to be useful in communicating with people of all languages, but at the same time, daily, every day. I think our raw material is the everyday. Tous les jours means every day, and that is the source of inspiration for us, is how we spend our time together in cities, and that was a nice humbling beginning. Often we are given a location. Our work is very much in situ. It starts with the site. It starts with the stories of the site and the people inhabiting it. And we often do workshops and all sorts of activities to try to really understand and put ourselves in the past, present, and future of a place. This emerging practice of transforming spaces into places, and seeing how through design, art, performance, people's participation, trying to re-enchant public spaces. I think cities have not been with us for so long, if we like urbanity, if we look at the story of the world, and at first they were very much car-centric, and we're realizing how humans should be put at the center, and we're finding all strategies to put back the human at the center with what it means to be human. That's why someone that interviewed us a while ago described our work as infrastructure for the human spirit, and that resonated with us in seeing that beyond scale, and trying to see how we can also bring our capacity for laughter, or storytelling, and all that it means to be humans right in the middle of a public space. And at the end of the day, I think we saw a growing importance of people from all walks of life rubbing shoulders in the places they share. Just being aware of one another and having a place where we can exchange with no filters, because definitely a lot of our social life is happening online in these places that are just curated for people like us. And that's where public space has this special role in making sure that we are still connected to others that we wouldn't necessarily be on our social media feeds. Music it was something that for a while we were and at the brainstorm table thinking, oh, not another musical project. And at some point we just decided that it's actually such a wonderful tool. It transcends languages. It's for people who are not necessarily of the same backgrounds in public space. It's a wonderful binder And the way we work it is truly interactive. So we work closely with musicians and software developers in our team that have been with us for some time, with whom we have it in a way that there's agency, so that you can create music, and at the same time you don't need to know how. You don't need to be a musician. You don't need to know anything about music. It's a fine line between like a pre-recorded scores and at the same time enabling people to play around with them and get a sense that they are creating something and surprising them in their ability to create beautiful music together. Yes, definitely intentional. I think that's where it all starts. It's having people critically influencing their environment, giving them agency, giving them the power to change things. And it's a very poetic act, but we really believe in this way of people being agents of change and being able to transform their environment. And whether it starts with an artful installation in the middle of public space or having something more going up to vote, I think it's important for people to feel that they are considered as being able to change their environment. I think a space needs to surprise people in their ability to do things together. For us, that's our goal. It needs to be, and after that, there's it needs to feel inclusive, needs to feel welcoming for all, needs to feel accessible for all ages, for all backgrounds, needs to feel safe. It needs to feel, it needs to evolve too. It can be a tricky one because we often feel like we need to change things, especially now with events programming. I think there's people like to find some elements of sameness. That's how you build rituals. And that's how you can, I think, profoundly impact a way of living in a city where they're just always injecting something new. That's why we've been liking working on permanent installations more and more. Cities can become overwhelming by this visual dominance and by how one sense is so predominantly stimulated versus others. And there's something that we found quite powerful with sound, is that you can still think of other things. It's not it's not taking over all of your mind when you are listening to music. That's why you can listen to music in a car, but we're not going to let you watch a film. Sensory diversity is important, and to also look at how the body feels and what the body is doing. With the musical swings, that was one thing that we looked a lot at the musical composition and how the synchronous movement between the swings, but how the body feels when it's on a swing. When it's on a swing is quite something that we overlooked and forgot and wondered, why aren't there more swings now? Why is it relegated to kids' world? Because it is sensations can be so powerful. It's completely therapeutic in the case of a swing, but there's a wide range of emotions that can be stimulated or framed by sensory diversity that is not necessarily visual. Definitely. We sometimes wonder, why do we do work outside again? It's so complicated. It's very complicated. It takes a lot of love to work outside because it's quite difficult in having a really robust infrastructure that withstands all sorts of weather, very extreme heat, extreme cold. You need to be attentive to how people will use it, wear and tear, but also vandalism. And yeah, often when we work indoors, we do projects indoors as well. They feel a little bit more relaxing, but all the reward goes into also taking people where they are, and people not having to buy a ticket, and just surprising them on their way to work with delight and joy. Yes, and it depends on the project and it depends on the installation. Like our musical swings right now, we are developing a new seat that has a backrest that is more accessible for all abilities. We're also developing a toddler seat. In other cases, the projects are more naturally. We like working with these musical pavements a lot. There are sensor tiles and audio tiles that are interactive and make music. And what's wonderful here is that you can be on foot, on wheel. You're playing music with others, and it's a broad range of participation that's enabled from the get-go. But it's always something to keep in mind. Our Daydreamer, our kinetic musical bench is a public bench, but that spins on itself. But we made sure that the movement is very slow, and that was also a very complicated journey, where the pivot system is quite elaborate in order to enable always a slow movement, and make sure that it's safe for everyone, and that someone that feels less stable will still feel safe on it. Yes, I think that's what we see now, and it's great. It's been a few years now that there's a lot of conscience that is going into how public spaces are designed, where they became the safest space, outdoor public spaces, and became really key in bringing equity amongst cities. We need for them to be accessible for people of all ages. They are a matter of, like, I think places that are healthier are places with good public spaces where people can be outside, be in nature. I think renaturalization of public spaces is an important element to keep in focus, and making sure that places are vibrant, that are welcoming for people to spend time and come back to, and build rituals together, and build a sense of common life that we're losing now. We're just using a lot of our public spaces as transit areas from A to B. That's how they were built for many cities, especially here in North America. Like most cities were built for cars. I think other cities have much more layers and histories to them that protected them from too much concrete and asphalt. We work in a way that we use a lot of music, dance, stories to infuse public space, kind of in a way to break the ice between people. Looking at music is inherently collaborative. Like, you can do your own thing, but what you're creating is something collective with others. Like, if I take, for example, our musical swings, where every swing is an instrument, the higher the swing, the higher the note. So you can just be swinging by yourself, and triggering your own piece. But as others join in, whether you're having a profound conversation or just saying hello or nothing at all, you're still creating together and bringing some glue between people who don't know each other. And in the same way with dance, and we've been looking into synchronicity a lot. How a lot of studies have found that synchronous movements bring a sense of social connection to one another. And a lot of dances in the past in different cultures were also not just about communicating with high spirits above, but also just making sure that we are feeling a sense of connection to others in hard times. Every project always hosts the next one, and we want to and look into how what our work can connect people to each other, but also to nature. I think that's what we're currently looking at the studio and exploring. We have our project Hello Trees that we did some time ago. That was a poetic messaging system to communicate with trees and kind of bringing more awareness to the nature that's already surrounding us. But we want to push that experience. And at the same time, I think that having been developing interactive installations for almost 15 years now, we want to also repeat things. We want to be able to offer more of what we've developed that has been tested and proved, and make that more accessible so that it can be in more places around the world.